Actor comedian Tracy Morgan was in a serious car accident over the weekend where the limo van that he was driving in was rear-ended by a Walmart truck. The truck was being driven by 35-year-old Kevin Roper, who had not slept for more than 24 hours when the rig he was driving on the New Jersey Turnpike hit Tracy Morgan's limousine. Now, we don't normally cover this type of story. It's mostly a kind of celebrity story. However, this has a very important political angle, which is that we have here the issue of restrictions, business regulations around driving and truck drivers. And the issue of driver fatigue was very recently in front of the U.S. Senate, where the U.S. Senate is now considering rolling back a 70-hour cap on a trucker's work week that went into effect in July. For example, Republican Senator from Maine, Susan Collins, is thinking of reinstating the 82-hour work week that the industry desperately wants because it is more profitable. Now, in 2003, New Jersey was the first state to make it a homicide, to make it a crime of vehicular homicide for causing a fatal accident while driving drowsy. There's a statute known as Maggie's Law, named for 20-year-old Maggie McDowell, who was killed back in 1997 when a drowsy driver who hadn't slept for more than 24 hours crossed 3 lanes of traffic and hit her car head on. And what Maggie's Law says is that it is illegal for a driver who has been awake longer than 24 hours to operate a vehicle. Walmart has said that they are going to cooperate fully and they will take responsibility if they are found to be at fault. But Lewis, here we have a situation where, again, remember, we hear from the right, we hear from the small government, pro-business right, that businesses have they have an incentive to make sure this type of thing doesn't happen. It may be true, right, that Walmart will regret having had this guy on the road for 24 hours, that it'll be negative publicity, they'll have to pay out some money, but apparently the incentive isn't there. And if you step back for a second and if you think about if year after year, Walmart has these overtired drivers driving in this way, the amount they save from that year after year after year far outweighs the negative PR and the settlement money they might have to pay out for a couple of these events a year. So actually, it doesn't really seem that Walmart has an incentive to regulate itself when it comes to this.
Right. We also know that Walmart doesn't even always pay those settlements out or those fines and fees out when found guilty of something. And the audience can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think that a lot of these companies actually offer incentives to drivers themselves who can accomplish things in certain time frames.
We do have several truckers, long-haul truckers in our audience, and I know that they will give us some information on this, Lewis, but that's an interesting point you raise.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I think I've heard of that happening, though.
Yet another example of why we need strict business regulation. Absolutely ridiculous that we have now arguments made that the truckers should be allowed to drive even more. Let's take a break. We've got a great program for you today. We'll be having a great interview about juvenile incarceration. I have your voicemails, and we have some incredible stuff related to Bo Bergdahl. That's next.